Fast forward to 2050. The world population has passed 9 billion. There are 300 million more people in India than today. Emerging economies, urbanization, and internet connectivity have transformed countries and lives faster and greater than ever imagined. More people are on the move, more deliveries, more connections, more data, more homes and workplaces, more innovation. By 2050, the energy demand will boost by 50% compared to today. We need to make bold decisions to meet our future needs. We need to become more sustainable, intelligent, and efficient than ever before. We need to innovate. From ideas to whiteboards, labs to businesses, from one customer to another, we can transform countries and lives across the globe. Remember to think big and start small. We are the future of energy.
Hello, welcome to the Shell E4 Demo Day 2021, a celebration of the energy and entrepreneurial ecosystem. I am Siddharth Mehta, Principal Shell Ventures, and I will be your host for Day 1 of 2 covering the future of energy and accelerating energy transition. Today, you can expect to hear from global leaders from the energy industry featuring venture capitalists, startup founders, and corporate leaders from the ecosystem. We also invite you to submit your most pressing questions on the Q&A box. Your safety is of paramount importance to us. Please make yourself comfortable by having a right posture and maintain an appropriate social distancing if you are in a crowded space. Adjust the volume to make sure you can still hear any alarms that might go off in the vicinity, and take note of your closest exit in case of an emergency. Okay, let's kind of get started now. I would now like to introduce Nitin Prasad, Country Chair for Shell India, to deliver the official welcome note, and Harry Breckelmans, Executive Committee Member, Royal Dutch Shell and WBCSD, to deliver the opening address.
Hello, everybody, and a warm welcome to the Shell E4 Demo Day for 2021. My name is Nitin Prasad, and I'm the Chairman for Shell in India. Let me begin by wishing everybody well. I hope all of you are keeping healthy, all your families are well, and all of you are staying safe. Shell E4 Demo Day started out as a graduation event for our Shell E4 companies and is currently in its 4th year and is recognized as one of the largest energy entrepreneurship conferences in India. Today, we are here not just to talk about the future of energy, but also energy entrepreneurship and how together we can solve the challenges of transitioning into a zero carbon future. This is a challenge that is going to fundamentally require a widespread change to all of the energy systems that we have today, not just on the generation side and the distribution side, but equally on the consumption side and the demand side of energy. If you look at India, we have made significant strides in transforming our energy system. We can see through the impact that it had in terms of providing universal access to electrification. We are already starting to see the shift from intent and delivery in terms of electric vehicles and hydrogen and a range of other technologies. It is clear that we are in the middle of our energy transition. At Shell, our purpose has always been to power progress through providing more and cleaner energy solutions. And we have backed that with an updated strategy, which is about generating shareholder value, but more importantly, about achieving net zero emissions by 2050. It is about respecting nature and about powering lives. And it's a strategy that fits in terms of what we're trying to do in India today. We believe that partnerships will play a critical role in developing and delivering the clean energy systems in the future. And in this regard, we have created a platform here in Shell E4, at one of our 3 technology centers across the world in Bangalore, to partner and collaborate with the startups to come define and deliver these new energy systems for India and for the world. In this spirit, as a part of Shell E4, we are committed and proud to bring together an ecosystem of startups, investors, government, and other enablers to provide more and cleaner energy solutions. Together, we seek to empower and nurture entrepreneurs to transform their bright energy ideas into successful businesses. We truly believe that they could be the game changers, not just for India, but for the future of global energy. In the current times, it has become increasingly important for us to find sustainable pathways for the energy use to enable the global climate goals that we are all pursuing. So let's come together and in the course of the next 2 days, celebrate the world-leading innovations in energy efficiency and sustainable solutions that are playing a part, an active role in responding to challenges across the various domains, which are mobility solutions, energy management, clean technology, energy IoT, digital solutions, logistics, waste to value, just to name a few, and there's more to come. I wish all of you an absolutely wonderful demo day. I look forward to hearing all the great ideas and suggestions that are coming forward and how we're going to inspire another generation of entrepreneurs to think about a low carbon future. Thank you all very much and welcome once again to the Shell E4 Demo Day 2021.
Good afternoon. My name is Harry Brekkelmans. I'm the Director for Projects and Technology and member of the Executive Committee for Royal Dutch Shell. I'm very pleased to be able to join you today in sharing a message of hope and of optimism in the presence of the many great challenges we all face. The COVID-19 pandemic has challenged and disrupted humanity like never before. The need of the hour is to identify and work towards creating a more sustainable world. And in this journey, one of the key elements will be to reduce carbon emissions and work towards a net zero carbon future. Now at Shell, we have set aggressive targets to become a net zero emissions business by 2050. And to achieve this, we have oriented our business and innovation focus towards cleaner, green technologies, which includes biofuels, energy storage, new battery chemistry, and others. And in this path towards cleaner products and solutions, one of the key aspects is to ensure execution at scale of such technologies. For example, developing a more comprehensive e-charging network and providing green energy access to millions of people in emerging nations. Another key aspect is to work with a broader innovation ecosystem, including startups and research institutions and others, to co-create and scale new green technology. In this energy transition effort, one of the major challenges will be to balance the increased demand for energy consumption with, at the same time, lower greenhouse gas emissions. And to meet this challenge, innovation in new energy systems will absolutely be needed. But we have to bear in mind that these needs will vary significantly for different countries, and that innovation deployment at scale will be absolutely paramount. And we think this future is possible if our innovation efforts develop a collaborative approach for problem solving. Now, the startup ecosystem in India is growing rapidly, and we've seen very good startups in the energy space emerging. Our open innovation initiatives, such as E4, are working towards enabling such high-quality energy startups, and also at developing the next lot of startups, which can potentially help in building a cleaner, greener future for India and for the world. So, in closing, despite the current challenges we're in, we must continue to innovate towards a cleaner energy system. All of us in the innovation ecosystem have a big role to play. Our path towards net zero emission partnerships is the way it can be done. So thank you very much, and I wish you a great event.
Today, we will have the pleasure of hearing from a total of 11 E4 startups who are setting their own direction for the future of energy and accelerating the energy transition. Let's start off with 4 of the Shell E4 2021 cohort startups. For everybody tuning in, let me tell you how you can actively participate during these pitches. You can actually invest. You have all been given $50,000 worth of virtual currency to invest in these startups. Let us know who your favorites are. You can also connect with these startups. If you are an investor or want to follow up about any potential commercial opportunities, click the Contact Startup button on their profile pages found on this event platform. Without further ado, to introduce each of the startup pitching today, we will be hearing from my Shell colleagues.
Please welcome technology leader of energy and carbon management, Subrajit Dey.
Every year, industrial disasters cost us precious lives and billions of dollars. Exact Space has transformed lives through their AI-driven solutions. These solutions help reduce energy wastage, failures, and carbon footprint of industrial plants. Exact Space solutions are based on data from 75 industrial plants, and they digitize the largest fleet of power plants. They have 15 industrial products and multiple IPs in the pipeline. Exact Space solutions are being deployed in Argentina, China, and Finland. Let us welcome Exact Space and hear more from them about their big idea and how they aspire to transform the energy landscape.
From Bengaluru, India, Exact Space.
This seems like any normal day in a steel rolling mill complex, when all of a sudden you'll notice white-hot molten metal at 1000 degrees centigrade rising up in the air and doing its dance of death, literally chasing down people on the plant floor. Unplanned failures like these cost industries upwards of $100 billion each year and many precious lives. Why do you think such failures happen today despite the presence of the most sophisticated automation systems? The reality is that these are continuously evolving systems, and this particular rolling mill has a history of its own, of who operated it, how it was maintained, what kind of metal went through it, and this machine's fingerprint is very unique. But existing automation systems don't consider this context and are very static with its intelligence. Add to this the complexity that this is not a standalone equipment, but a complex interconnected process consisting of hundreds of assets, thousands of sensors, generating millions of data points a day. We are faced with a massive communication problem between humans and machines. This leads to decisions based on approximations. Exact Space was conceived to take these approximations out of industries and bring about exactness to operations. To solve this, we built Pulse, a verticalized AI platform that adds actionable intelligence to existing sensor infrastructure. Pulse generates early or predictive warnings of degradation or inefficiencies using contextualization. The core AI enablers here are designed to learn autonomously from the history of an asset, as well as the entire process surrounding it, to identify patterns that lead to failures. Verticalization is core to our value delivery. We started with a very deep focus on the energy industry, built a library of digital twins of over 50 assets, 1,500 failure modes, and this enables domain-driven diagnostics and actionable insights, and helps customers achieve two broad outcomes. One is to avoid critical unplanned failures, and the second is to reduce their carbon footprint. Steel industry is just the second vertical we've started, and we intend to very judiciously explore adjacent markets. One of India's largest energy digitalization projects runs on our platform, and Pulse today supports a fleet of 58 plants across India, China, Finland, and South America. OEMs like BHEL and ABB also use Pulse to deliver predictive insights to their customers, which opens up access to more than thousands of customers for us. We've always had to fight it out with the largest global competition for a piece of this 5 billion market opportunity, but have been able to win consistently because of our ability to deliver value in under a month, thanks to our vertical strategy. And we are also building competitive moat around us, and by beefing up our models with real-world data from thousands of assets, which has taken us years to build. We're looking to raise a seed fund of $1.7 million to get to $5 million in order books over the next 2 years by executing on our India market leadership plans, initiating market entry into USA, and strengthening our product and delivery teams. And we put together a team that combines over 60 years of deep energy and industrial expertise from Boban and Dilip with AI product and business leadership from Arun and myself to help us achieve these goals.
Please welcome Country Manager of Energy Transitions Program, Anandya Chaudhary.
With a large network of independent garages enabled by full stack platform and future ready to serve the electrification of the Indian automotive industry, Spareit consolidates the garage's demand through mobile applications to generate digital job cards, online invoices, and payment collection that also provides essential insights through the CRM system. The solution includes vendor verification and last mile garage front deliveries of spares. The seasoned team at Spareit is connecting the highly fragmented Indian automotive aftermarket by making the transactions between the neighborhood garages and the distributors and manufacturers through an online digital business environment. Let us hear more from the founders of Spareit.
From Bengaluru, India, Spareit.
Spareit is a multilingual technology platform disrupting the supply chain ecosystem in the automotive aftermarket. Our platform caters to this ecosystem and we create value across different parts of the ordering chain. Spareit is empowering small and medium garages as well as suppliers in India through this platform. Utilizing proprietary technology, the company has built practical solutions for each stakeholder, be it the garage, distributor or supplier, EV enablers, and eventually the vehicle owner, ranging from procurement, sales, discovery, logistics to credit. There are 4 key problems with this ecosystem. The supply chain is unorganized, offline, and disconnected. The Spareit platform offers business tools like digital job cards, online invoicing and collection, customer CRM, and more to digitize this supply chain. The platform aggregates demand and supply for perfect matching to bring semblance to this fragmented market. Reliability of supply is the third problem. All suppliers are verified on our platform in terms of inventory stocking, the fill ratio, and more. The industry isn't ready for the future. They have no access to training or any future-ready technology. Our platform empowers stakeholders to upskill themselves in ICE and EV technologies.
More than 5,200 garages across 6 cities to date are using Spareit and realizing the benefits of this digital transformation. 15,000 job cards and 14,000 digital invoices have been raised using the Spareit platform. Spareit's current main revenue model is a percentage from marketplace sales and dealer SaaS. The platform will offer suppliers tools to optimize and move inventory and access to credit on the platform. There are an estimated 1.5 million aftermarket garages in India that control more than 97% of the country's $50 billion spare parts market. Spareit is at the forefront of this opportunity, emerging as one of the largest aftermarket platforms in India. We have also brought distinct advantage to the EV segment. We have more than 50 plus EV certified garages trained by Hero Electric. We are already working with EV manufacturers and fleets across Bangalore and Delhi NCR to provide maintenance and spares supply.
Spareit is incubated with NASSCOM's 10,000 startups and is part of the Shell E4 Accelerator program. Spareit has partnered with Shell and TVS Automobile Solutions across the country. It is in advanced discussions to raise its seed round. It aims to be India's largest aftermarket platform by having 150,000 garages and 25,000 suppliers across 20 cities by December 2023. Prashant has close to 25 years of experience in the automotive aftermarket, and Romy has 22 years of experience in B2B and B2C marketing across various industries. Spirit is backed by a fantastic board of advisors who come with relevant exposure in growth, operations, and business functions from the automotive and data industry.
Please welcome Pricing Manager of Fuels, Mehzamin Amin.
It's a well-known fact that it's not an easy task to build the use cases for artificial intelligence and machine learning and integrate them to the business systems. It mainly happens because projects fail to move from the experimental phase to the production phase. However, CogniTensor has provided us a way to overcome this roadblock and hitchhike the AI ML way. They have the lowest cost to market, lowest time to market, and they allow fast deployment of their solution. They are also the first ones to be chosen by the Harvard Club of India for their accelerator program. So let's welcome CogniTensor to shed some more light on what their platform is about.
From Noida, India, CogniTensor.
A very warm welcome to everyone. I am Ashish Aaron, co-founder of CogniTensor. I'm a researcher turned entrepreneur. Today, we are at the same junction with artificial intelligence where the software industry was back in the 2000s with DevOps. According to the recent survey, about half of all AI ML products cannot get deployed into production due to the lack of an integrated development environment. The current AI ML requires an integrated environment, especially as tools and data availability is increasing. There is a very strong demand to have version control of data and machine learning models under the realm of MLOps. In one line, if I can say so, we are building the GitHub for AI ML space. To tackle this, we have created Deep Optics, an integrated MLOps environment, which bridges the gap between the development team, like data analyst, data engineer, and data scientist, with production team, like domain experts, project managers, through faster development and deployment. Some of the highlights of Deep Optics are decreased turnaround time, version control mechanism for model and data, faster data ingestion with the help of over 60 plus pre-built connectors. On top of Deep Optics, we have built ready-to-deploy products in 3 key tracks. The first is energy portfolio management for enterprise traders and consumer. The second is climate change impact mitigation tool for sustainability-focused corporates. And lastly, the third is an integrated supply chain management suite for industrial safety manufacturers. In the next 5 years, the MLOps market is expected to grow by $4 billion, while the sustainability and energy market is expected to grow to over $40 billion. In the competitive landscape, we have been following a long journey from being a point solution company to becoming a full stack company in the next coming 5 years. Our current ARR stands at $300,000, and we aim to achieve $5 million in the next 3 years. We are currently raising $1.4 million, and we are valued at $11 million. We will be utilizing these funds for various purposes. For example, 40% will be going for product development, 30% will be going for new hires, and the rest will be going for marketing and operational cost. This brings me to talk about our team here at CogniTensor. CogniTensor was founded by myself and my 2 other co-founders, Arun and Pankaj, who have a combined experience of over 60 plus years of experience working with large corporates like IBM, Comtel, Orange, and HP. Now, we have a combined team of over 25 plus technology professionals ready to revolutionize the MLOps space today.
Please welcome Corporate Relations Manager of Carbon and Climate, Subrata Basu.
to remain competitive is a growing concern. Manufacturing units are under extreme pressure to produce high quality goods in lesser time and at lesser costs. However, production and operational efficiency take a hit without proper monitoring tools to give real-time critical insights. Machines imbued with AI and ML can provide us the required information and reduce costs for us. This is what EmbedSense delivers and more. It offers solution to lower costs and can digitize any machine. There's more to it. Their solution can preempt failures of assets, elongate their lifespans, and resonate Shell's energy efficiency theme. Let's welcome EmbedSense to shed more light on their big idea and how it is transforming the molding, stamping, and allied industries.
From Bengaluru, India, EmbedSense.
Hi, I'm Venkatesh Prasanna, founder and CEO of EmbedSense Solutions Private Limited. We manufacture industrial IoT sensors and systems and provide sophisticated engineering applications that address the pain points in the molding industry. The molding industry is where almost every plastic or metal component that we come across in our day-to-day lives would be born or takes shape in. Without this ubiquitous industry, our world would have been vastly different. The molding industry has its own unique set of challenges. First of all, the quality of parts produced can vary widely due to the sensitive nature of the process involved. Defect rates as high as 10 to 20% are quite common here, which results in money left on the table. Lack of visibility into the molds and the machines themselves results in revenue leakages as well. Most machines are not digitized and hence availability, utilization and production rates are not optimized. Machine failure rates, which can be as high as 40% as well. Such frequent failures of these complex machines with many subsystems involved require specialized skills to repair and maintain, and this adds to the industry's woes. We address all these pain points with our unique retrofit hardware and intelligent engineering software applications, which delivers high value to our customers. The opportunity is big over here. The molding industry itself is a $28 billion industry this year alone and is expected to grow at a CAGR of 6.5% in the next few years. Our key USPs from our offerings are, we have pioneered a solution that brings insights into the dynamics of various mold behavior. We can digitize any machine on the shop floor irrespective of its age, capacity, make or model. We can preempt machine failures as well. Customers who implement our solutions realize ROI within 6 to 9 months of implementing our solutions. We have an attractive revenue model that is three-pronged. Our revenue streams are from the sale of hardware sensors and systems themselves, an upfront deployment fee, and a recurring monthly subscription for our highly intensive engineering application. We have customers in various segments, the automotive, process industries, and we also cater to machine OEMs themselves. We have solutions that are already performing in various other industries. With partners like Rockwell Automation and Shell, we are going places including Singapore and the Southeast Asian markets this year. We are looking to raise $800,000 in funding to generate $7 million in revenue in the coming 4 years. We plan to acquire 5 to 7 enterprise-grade customers this year with our existing partner network and carry out horizontal deployments in each of them. We would also look to grow our existing list of channel partners and reinforce our marketing team. Expanding into the Southeast Asian market through partners in the next phase is also where we see huge opportunity. Reaching out to the vast manufacturing setups in the US is also planned in the later years. So why should anybody invest in us now? We are playing in a very niche market with highly innovative solutions. Our products are fully mature and are performing at various customers' locations already. So the product risk is completely out of the equation. The timing for Industry 4.0 and digitization is just right, and Industry 4.0 is on everyone's lips today. The moat around us is not only deep but wide as well.
In terms of the team, we are a team of 15 brilliant minds with the plans to expand up to 25 in the coming year. We have a highly competent management team as well with over 50 plus years of combined experience amongst ourselves. Over here, I drive both business and R&D initiatives. Dr. Greg Taylor, a world-renowned figure, is our advisor. Ms. Shubha ensures that our business is both sustainable and scalable as well. Mr. Rajesh and Ms. Ponmani ensure our products are fully baked and appeal to our customers. Thank you for your time.
Oh, what an inspiration. Now, next up, we have an icon joining us here today, Vinod Khosla, partner at Khosla Ventures, who will be joined in the discussion by Daniel Jeevans, Vice President for Computational Science and Digital Innovation at Shell. Please submit your questions in the Q&A box found near to the video player.
So welcome everybody. It's great to be here with you as part of the E4 Demo Day. My name's Dan Jevons. I'm the VP for Computational Science and Digital Innovation at Shell. And I'm absolutely delighted to be here today with Vinod Khosla. And just a real honor to meet him and to have a conversation. So Vinod, welcome. It's wonderful to have you. Maybe, if you don't mind, we'll start the conversation. If you can just give us a little bit about your background for those that don't know you, and a little bit about what brought you here and got you into climate technology.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've had a pretty uniform background. I started very much with an educational background from IIT Delhi, electrical engineer, moved on to an esoteric area called biomedical engineering back in the 70s. And then started a couple of computer companies, Daisy Systems and Sun Microsystems. But practically for the last 40 years, I've been in the venture startup ecosystem and mostly on the venture side for the last 35 or so years.
Fantastic. And I recognize that one of the areas that you've really been transitioning to is the area of energy transition and renewable energy sources. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got into that and why you think that's so important?
Yeah, so we got into climate investing relatively early. It was around 2006 that we decided it was an important area socially and societally. And that's a big part of what we do, technology-driven innovation. So we decided to focus. I started my own fund in 2004, and then around 2006 or so, started investing heavily in climate. The first generation of climate investing, we spent a lot of time there. It's been more successful than people make it out to be, actually, with quite a few fairly successful companies that just took a long time. Given we do mostly impact-oriented investing in important social areas, this was definitely one. And it's great to see it come back again as in fashion now. And a lot of capital both on the venture side as well as the ESG later stage investing side.
Oh, fantastic. And I guess I'd love to know where have you been the most impactful? Where are the areas where you've seen the biggest impact from your investment so far?
Well, in climate specifically, let me start by saying there's really, I have a somewhat radical view. I published a blog about a year ago saying only a few climate technologies matter. This is not about 1,000 companies. It's about a dozen successful ones in a dozen important areas. So these dozen areas or so account for the vast majority of emissions. And if we fix them, we are mostly done. And if we don't fix them, we are not done no matter what else we do. So I've had this somewhat controversial opinion that most of the things most people work on is largely irrelevant. For example, a 10% improvement in car efficiency, which is internal combustion engine efficiency, which is hard to get, is going to be irrelevant to climate change. 10% improvement in energy consumption in housing or buildings is going to be irrelevant. But people spend way too much time on things that don't matter. Things that matter are very clearly defined. The electrification of land transportation, sustainable aviation fuels, animal agriculture, which is a huge carbon emitter or greenhouse gas emitter. I could go through the list: steel production, cement production, so building construction, those all matter. And those are the areas where we've had pretty good success. QuantumScape may be the best electric battery company. It's a public company worth about $10 billion or so, but likely to make electric vehicles cheaper than internal combustion engine vehicles. That's the only metric that counts on a per mile driven basis. And so that's pretty exciting. In aviation fuel, LanzaJet has a scalable process. Now, there's a number of aviation fuel, sustainable aviation fuel processes that are so niche, they'll never scale. So we focus mostly on very scalable efforts. Now, people talk a lot about solar and wind energy, but they are not dispatchable. You can't watch television only when the sun's shining or the wind's blowing. You got to watch it when the football game is on. So energy storage or dispatchable energy are important. We think we're getting close to solving the fusion issue, which would be very, very exciting. Working hard on geothermal, which is a dispatchable source of power. But geothermal is largely been irrelevant because we drill to shallow depths only in geothermal sites. Half the planet could be a geothermal site if we dug deep enough. And so the core focus is on deep drilling, hopefully linear cost of drilling with the depth of drilling. So there's a few areas like that. Impossible foods is plant proteins. You know, the hard areas that I would say have been hard to do, HVAC, especially relevant for India. Air conditioning is a very carbon intensive thing and there's no easy solutions. Desalination of water is an issue. But many of the areas, and we can talk about any of these areas that people talk about, there are solutions. They have to be developed. The technology is not here, but it's all feasible to demonstrate in the next 10 years or so. I have a simple view of the timeline to net zero by 2050. If technologies aren't demonstrated by 2030 and started scaling by the early 30s, they're not going to get to eliminating emissions in their category by 2050. We need exponential scaling after the technologies are demonstrated, but it'll still take 20 years. But no matter which of these areas you pick, there are surprising solutions that people have come up with that address emissions in an economic way. And fundamentally, if a technology isn't market competitive, unsubsidized at scale, not initially, it's not going to scale. It's not going to replace fossil technologies. And so those are the metrics we work under.
It's fantastic. It's an amazing list. I've been very influenced by Bill Gates's recent book, which I think espouses a very similar sort of worldview, that actually these are you've really got to focus on the big impactful areas to make a difference. So I love that philosophy.
We've been working together for the last 15 years on climate technologies. I'm on the board of Breakthrough Energy Ventures with them for that reason. And he started investing in climate with us probably in 2006, 2007.
Amazing. And amazing. And I feel like that movement is really going to change things. And so, just kudos to you both for all that you're doing. I guess just building on that, I mean, obviously Bill Gates and yourself have a shared heritage in Silicon Valley and all of the digital technology work that you have in your backgrounds. I wanted to understand, how do you see the role of digital in climate change? And do you see it playing an important role, or do you think it's more in the physical technology that we're going to see the major breakthroughs?
I do think computation has a large role to play. But I don't know if digital apps, if that's what you mean by digital, has a huge role to play. It can play in advocacy. It can help with policy. But there's really only, if you look at the dozen areas, there's only two things that matter. One is policy, that's governmental policy. And the second is technology breakthroughs large enough to achieve unsubsidized market competitiveness when scaled. Now, in getting there, computational technologies have a large role to play. Battery technology. Looking for materials is a computational problem. We have to solve Schrödinger's equation. If you want to simulate fundamental properties, it's a large search space, so it's a search problem for materials through the chemical space. The same is true of things like carbon capture. And AI is being used more and more in biology. So there is a large role in computation and AI, but people misestimate where it's important. Because the physical world is important and computation can play and AI systems can play a large role in those searches.
Yeah, fantastic. And we certainly agree. And within my group, we've been doing a lot of work in many of the areas you're talking about, optimizing systems, looking for new ways of designing processes, physical processes, looking at new opportunities around how we can actually discover new materials. So in all of those areas, we're very active. And so we definitely agree with you there. Maybe one other question that was on my mind, I think it's only fair to acknowledge that the pandemic has transformed the world, and we have a different world now than we had perhaps 18 months ago. And I guess, one of the, two parts of the question. One is, what advice would you give to founders who perhaps are going through some really tough times right now with all of the uncertainty? And secondly, does the pandemic give you optimism in terms of an acceleration in the focus on climate technology, or do you still have concerns around the pace?
Well, the pandemic demonstrated large breakthroughs are possible. So, a vaccine that took 10 years to normally develop was developed in a very short time, a year. That's pretty stunning, and nobody would have thought that kind of technology development and proof, clinical trials are a hard thing, would be possible. So it demonstrates to me that these things are possible, and that gives me optimism. So I hope that applies to climate, and people take a positive view of how fast things can change in climate. Let me give you some encouraging data. 5 years ago, nobody thought of electric cars as dominant. Most major automakers had no real plans for electric cars, or they were on the fringe of their plans. It wasn't till only a couple of years ago, Volkswagen came out and said 25% of our fleet will be electric by 2025. And General Motors said no more internal combustion engine cars by 2035. Volvo did something similar. So within 5 years, one company, Tesla, has demonstrated to the world that change is possible. And I call that kind of demonstration an instigation and proof. 5 years ago, nobody talked about replacing animal husbandry, which is a very large part of emissions and uses 30 to 40% of the planet's land area. In the last 5 years, we've gone from this fringe vegan, vegetarian thingy to plant proteins, maybe the center stage for proteins in 10, 15 years. Pat Brown at Impossible, who we backed, has proven that. Jagdeep Singh has proven that, at QuantumScape has proven that even a hard technology like batteries can be done much better by startups. So there's a lot of room in the startup ecosystem. And I see plenty of things coming along where you and I can talk about them today and most people will dismiss them. But 5 years from now, I think our assumptions about 3 or 4 other major areas out of my dozen will be very, very different. Happy to talk about those if you like.
Go for it. Keep going. I find it fascinating.
Well, so take an area like coal and natural gas plants still growing rapidly in places like India and China. And the traditional approach has been to build carbon capture, hopefully prove it. I don't think the economics of that work are likely to work anytime soon. But there's a better way. Maybe we can eliminate the need for carbon capture, not with solar, but by refitting the boiler on a coal plant with a fusion reactor. So imagine a fusion reactor as a heat engine that just replaces the boiler part and fits into existing coal plants. That'd be pretty exciting. I think in 5 years, given there's a dozen startups chasing this, including one of ours, Quantum Commonwealth Fusion Systems, we will have demonstrated in the next 5 years positive energy and a path to replace the boiler only in coal power plants. Then it becomes relatively easy to replace 5,000 boilers at 5,000 coal plants or natural gas plants and say we eliminate the need for carbon capture and storage, we reuse all that equipment and facilities with a new boiler. It happens to be fusion energy boiler. I find that pretty exciting.
Absolutely.
So let me give you another example relevant to the Shell business. We are today, so cement is the large issue. We have carbon capture in cement. It's a very interesting story. CO2 becomes CO3, calcium carbonate is cement. So you can actually capture carbon dioxide and make it into a usable building product like cement. But we are also trying something radical. Can we 3D print housing, buildings with photopolymers? Something that comes out of the chemicals business. And we are delivering small houses. And I hope in 2 or 3 years, we are delivering 3 to 5 story buildings, 3D printed with photopolymers, not needing cement or steel. And really change the resource intensity of buildings. It would dramatically change both the carbon footprint while reducing the cost per square foot of construction. Those kinds of things are very exciting to me. So, so I think in 5 years, fusion may change our view of coal power plants and how fast those can be replaced, how we build buildings can be changed, how we do aviation fuels can be changed. I do think hydrogen will get solved because solar power has become so cheap. we're getting below 3 cents a kilowatt hour in most parts of the world. At that point, hydrogen that's market competitive, or green hydrogen that's market competitive with gray hydrogen, becomes possible. And so I think these will be things we'll look back in as little as 5 years and say the world is a different place than we assumed in 2021.
Fantastic. I mean, just absolutely brilliant examples. And thank you for sharing. And it certainly gives me optimism and hope. Maybe, we've got a whole raft of startup entrepreneurs watching us. And I think we share your optimism. But we also know that, as you pointed out already, the startup ecosystem is going to be fundamental in shaping the innovation that we need to transform the energy system. If you had one piece of advice for the founders and those working in startups that are joining us today, what would it be?
Look, there's many useful areas for startups. If you want to impact climate, carbon emissions, or global warming, there's only a dozen areas to work on, and I'd point people to my blog called A Few Critical Technologies. I think the exact name is A Few Critical Climate Technology Breakthroughs Multiplied by Instigators is desperately needed. That's the title of the blog. It's on our website. It's also, I believe, on a couple of other places. My advice to entrepreneurs, pick one of these dozen areas, and they are the instigators. One person, Elon Musk, changed our view of the electric car world when Volkswagen and General Motors and others could not. In plant proteins, Pat Brown, one lone entrepreneur, an academic who'd never worked in a real job his whole life, has changed assumptions. I think Jagdeep Singh, one entrepreneur, has changed the view of solid-state batteries that everybody is chasing. My point is the following. One entrepreneur working on the right problem can make a huge dent on climate technology. Carbon emissions and global warming, if they work on the right area, one of these dozen areas, battery grid storage, HVAC, fertilizer, water, steel. So you can make a large difference, but it takes a large technology risk to do it. There are other areas many people in sustainability are working on, but sustainability is a different thing. Building efficiency is an important startup, but it's not relevant to climate change in my view. So be honest, what problem? It can still be an important problem and not be a climate problem solution. And cyclical economy, plant source plastics, all these are interesting areas as businesses, and they contribute positively to society, but there's only a few things that matter to climate change itself. And any entrepreneur can be one of these, what I call instigators of change, where you change the world's view. Bob Mumgaard at Commonwealth Fusion Systems is the one person who's become it's a 3-year-old startup. We demonstrated a 20 Tesla magnet over Labor Day a week ago. We think now fusion becomes within grasp, and they did in 3 years what people haven't demonstrated in the last decade or 10, 20 years. And I think in 3 years, we'll demonstrate positive energy, then it's just an engineering problem. So.
Fantastic. Well, I think we're out of time. I could talk to you all day, Vinod. I think you just have so much wisdom to share. So thank you so much for spending your time with us. It's been a great conversation. Thank you for joining us here as part of our E4 Startup Day. And look, I hope we continue this conversation, and I hope that people leave this as inspired as I am. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Good luck to everybody out there trying to build breakthrough technologies.
Great. We will now hear from another three of the Shell E4 2021 cohort startups. Remember to invest. You have all been given $50,000 worth of virtual currency to invest in the startups. We want to know who your favorites are. And don't forget to connect with the startups. If you are an investor or want to follow up on any potential commercial opportunities, click on the Contact Startup button on each of their profile pages, which can be found on the event platform.
Please welcome Finance Manager of Shell Energy, Asha Pillai.
Temperature measurement is a critical process in industries such as refineries, power plants, and steel plants. Lack of precision in measuring temperatures can lead to product quality issues, reduced process efficiency, and a decline in asset life. Backed with 20 plus years of research, 6 patents, and multiple trademarks and copyrights, Zymer Analytics has revolutionized the conventional process by integrating IoT solutions. They're the creators of the world's only ultrasonic waveguide sensors that can measure temperatures in hostile environments. Their team of seasoned researchers and engineers has brought unique and reliable sensors, but also helps to reduce your carbon footprint. The brilliance of their idea has been established again and again as they have been finalists in various innovation and design challenges. Let's hear about this marvelous idea from the co-founder and CEO of Zymer Analytics, Dr. Nishant Raja.
From Chennai, India, XYMA Analytics.
Process parameter measurement is critical in most of the manufacturing and production industries. The existing sensors have reliability issues. A simple example is a batch rejection that is happening in a pharmaceutical industry due to temperature fluctuations. Zymer has developed a robust sensor to address this critical industrial requirement. Currently, we have 3 hardware products and 1 software product to address this problem in the industries. We develop unique ultrasonic waveguide-based sensor which can do multi-parameter measurements at high temperature zones as higher as 1400 degrees Celsius. We can do temperature measurement, rheology measurement, and level measurement in the industries using our single ultrasonic waveguide-based sensor. Our technology is enhanced with industrial IoT and unique soft sensing solution, which is backed by physics-based models. This technology is backed by 20 plus years of research in IIT Madras and protected by 15 plus intellectual properties over the past 10 years. The current market opportunity for Zymer is close to $26 billion, of which the major share is held by metal and petrochemical and energy industries. Zymer is targeting to capture $200 million by 2025. Our clients are market leaders in their particular sectors where they have shown tremendous interest on our products and even invested in the field validation of our sensors in their assets. Currently, we have a committed value of 1.6 crores from our clients to design specific sensors for their applications. Our business model and GTM is designed to address the total addressable market. Most of our products will be supplied through the channel partners across this globe. Our revenue model is structured by direct sales followed by an annual recurring revenue model. In the direct sales, we have product sales followed by AMC and an installation cost. On the annual recurring revenue, we will be licensing our dashboard system followed by our soft sensing and data analytics platform to the end user. Currently, our sensors are in industrial validation and certification for global deployment. We will be moving towards a global presence in the next couple of years. We are planning to scale these sensors for global readiness. Currently, we are looking for a seed fund raise of $1 million US, of which 40% will be used for the R&D and the IP filing and certifications. Zymer has a strong team of 20 plus members, of which the founding team alone has 50 plus years of cumulative experience in the ultrasonic technology, followed by 5 plus years of experience in the IoT and the analytics platform. We are part of IITM Incubation Cell, which helps us connecting to the IoT ecosystem to enhance our products for the industry deployments. This year, we are also part of the NASSCOM Accelerator program, which helped us to enhance and build our IoT and AI solutions for the field deployment. Thank you.
Please welcome General Manager of Computational Science, Suchismita Sanyal.
Hi, I am Suchismita, the GM of Computational Science, and I'm delighted to present to you Planys. Planys is a deep tech startup that specializes in marine robotics and underwater non-destructive testing, which is really helpful for aging infrastructure worldwide. They have developed a novel data capturing platform that has enabled AI-based analytics, advanced visualization, and a digital dashboard, and has been deployed for over 160 assets worldwide. Their team is continuously innovating at the cutting edge of technologies and having 19 patents in the pipeline for cheaper, faster, and better solutions in this space. They have enabled optimized asset operations by early detection, prevention of huge costs coming in from avoidance of repairs, and enabling solutions around proactive repairs. Let us hear from the founder himself.
From Chennai, India, Planys Technologies.
Hi, I'm Tanuj, co-founder of Planys. Aging infrastructure is a vital problem worldwide, and underwater inspections are done to avoid catastrophic failures like bridge collapses or dam bursts. Current technologies used for these inspections have several limitations as they are manual, the testing techniques are inconsistent, and the reporting is very primitive and non-digital. Planys is a deep tech startup aiming to create a paradigm shift for long-term asset monitoring using underwater drones, several testing sensors that are not elsewhere available in the world, and a very unique digital analytics and reporting platform. We assess the health of the structure and identify defects and anomalies. To give an example, we check if the dam is safe or if it has cracks or cavities. Planys' solutions cater to multiple sectors like ports, oil and gas structures, dams and bridges, and we also have applications in downstream use cases like thermal and desalination plants. Marquee customers for Planys in India are the Indian Railways, several hydro and energy PSUs, PWD and highways departments, and private players like Port Authority of Singapore and L&T. International customers include Port of Rotterdam, ExxonMobil, and Vopak. Planys' proposition adds superior value to its customers due to its unmanned, robotic, and safer solutions, thus allowing inspections to be conducted without taking shutdowns or downtimes. Its unique set of NDT technologies add a lot of capability to its solution and a never-seen-before intelligent digital reporting dashboard using data analytics and artificial intelligence. Overall, Planys' solution delivers actionable insights for clients to take data-driven decisions for repairs. Till date, Planys has inspected over 170 assets across 3 countries, filed 20 plus patents, and has grown 7x in the last year. Further, Planys is working on some cutting-edge technology solutions like Internet of Underwater Things and using artificial intelligence for auto defect identification in large amount of videos. Over the next 2 years, Planys intends to penetrate deeper in its abroad markets, transition to a partner-led business model, and also focus on enterprise software and data analytics. The founding team of Planys consists of IIT Madras professors and alumnus that possess deep domain expertise in the field of robotics and inspection and have been working in this technology for more than 10 years now. The young and dynamic team of Planys is more than 100 people today, and we are passionate about building technology using fundamental sciences and modern research. The team has also won several national and international accolades over the years. Today, Planys' niche technology solutions are loved by its customers. We have a strong unit economics and a resilient team and are currently scaling globally. We are looking forward to partnering with several partners for our growth. Thank you so much.
Please welcome Marketing Manager of Fuels and E-Mobility, Priyanka Murthy.
Having created a machine learning platform to evaluate human professional talents through a deep integration with appropriate sensors and IoT devices to harvest data for efficient talent management solutions, Prajna offers a unique platform to motor insurance providers, taxi aggregators, logistic firms, manufacturing industries, and training and placement companies to assess the skills and risk profiles of industrial workers and potential employees. The seasoned team at Prajna is en route to create massive social impact by nudging a safer transportation environment, which is a new paradigm in the workforce skill assessment. Let's welcome Sunil, founder of Prajna, to shed more light on his unique platform.
From Thiruvananthapuram, India, Prajna.
This is Sunil Haridas. I am the founder and CEO at Prajna Intellisys. Prajna is a revolutionary platform for blue-collar performance analytics. What are the problems that we are tackling? One of the primary problems is in the insurance segment, where there is a product called usage-based insurance. This has not taken off significantly in India because of the cost considerations, as well as the need to digitize the system end-to-end. Prajna offers a solution which can help in this particular requirement. What are the other use cases that we are tackling? These are taxi aggregators, manufacturing segment, and evaluation of blue-collar employees in the manufacturing and other segments. What is significant about Prajna? Prajna is a revolutionary platform, as I said. We have got sensor fusion in the front end, which is different types of sensors, app-based sensors, IoT-based sensors, integration with AS140, onboard diagnostics too, etc. And in the back end, we have a machine learning platform with a revolutionary AI framework. So let's look at the revenue model. We have a significant, market segment, not just in India but globally. So, for example, there are 42 million drivers in the industry who can be covered under the usage-based insurance. We have 6 million drivers in the taxi aggregation segment. We have 2 million plus blue-collar employees joining the market every year. So we have a huge opportunity. Now, on the revenue side, again, we have two flavors. One is the annuity model for large corporates like the insurance segment, and of course, the seat-based or license-based model for small and medium segments. Talking about the traction, we have done pilot projects for some of the large corporates like Adani, Vizhinjam Port, Indian Oil Corporation, Reliance, etc. And competitors, we have some competition in the driver segment, but we have advantage in terms of having a software-based stack, having a secure, highly scalable solution compared with the telematics kind of hardware solutions. And in the manufacturing segment, we don't have any competition either in India or globally. Our product has a significant social impact as well. As we are aware, more than 150,000 people have died in traffic-related accidents in 2019 in India. And many of these mortalities and injuries can be prevented by providing proper training, remedial training to drivers, and also monitoring their driving performance. So Prajna offers a solution in this regard. Talking about the team, I'm Sunil Hardas, founder and CEO. I come with more than 25 years of industry experience, primarily in the data analytics side. I also have program management and product development experience. My co-founder is Vinod Balakrishnan. He has more than 2 decades of entrepreneurial background. We have consultants and advisors from the industry. So I thank you for your time and look forward to connecting with you to discuss further.
I'm sure you will all agree that these are some incredible pitches. Before we come back with more, I'm personally looking forward to the next panel discussion on accelerating the energy transition with special guests from Mercedes-Benz, SAP, AVL, and Tata Motors, moderated by Nakul Raheja, country head for gas and LNG power at Shell India. Once again, please feel free to submit your questions in the Q&A box, which could be found next to the video player. With that, over to you, Nakul.
So as we all know, the world's energy system is actually undergoing a massive rapid transformation. I mean, certainly for those of us in the energy business, I don't think we've ever seen anything like this move at the pace that it is. But this is all happening when we're trying to solve the twin challenges of both providing more energy, but then also trying to do that via a much cleaner energy system. But even what is happening isn't clearly enough, right? Much more needs to be done for us to meet as a planet, as a society, the urgent climate goals that Paris has set and to go beyond that. A lot of this will need to be done and delivered by existing players in the market, but equally, a lot of the best, perhaps most disruptive ideas will come from outside of the traditional players. And this is, of course, where startups have a massive role to play. To discuss this, we're delighted to have a highly distinguished panel of speakers with us today, representing really a marquee cross-section of companies that are making a difference already in the energy transition, both in terms of what they're doing themselves, but also how they're working with and supporting startups to accelerate progress in this space. So let me quickly introduce you to them. First of all, we have Manu Saleh, Managing Director and CEO for Mercedes-Benz Research and Development India. We also have SJR Kutty, Chief Sustainability Officer from Tata Motors. Next up is Sindhu Gangadharan, SVP for SAP User Enablement and Managing Director for SAP Labs India. I'm also delighted to welcome Professor Dr. Uwe Dieter Grebe, Executive Vice President, AVL GmbH. And finally, representing Shell, I'd like to welcome Emma Lewis, Vice President, Strategy and Portfolio of the downstream business for Shell. So welcome everyone, and thank you for taking out the time to talk to us on this topic today. I'll get the ball rolling really by asking all panelists about how they view the emerging decarbonization challenge for the global economy and how the world can get to achieving net zero emissions by 2050 and what their companies are already doing in this space. Manu, if I can start with you. We know Mercedes-Benz is taking big strides in this space and sustainable mobility. You've talked about your aim to electrify the portfolio by 2022 and your ambition 2039, your road to CO2 neutrality. So as one of the most iconic players, of course, in the mobility space, can you share your thoughts on what Mercedes-Benz is doing and how you view the journey really to sustainable mobility?
Yeah, thank you, Nakul, and hello, everyone. Interesting question indeed, especially to someone in the automotive space, especially to a company that invented mobility and is set to reinvent it, is aiming to reinvent it. I think there's a lot of action that's going on in those spaces that you mentioned. I really want to start the discussion by mentioning Ambition 2039. I think we've set ourselves a target in 2019 already, in 20 years, to have a completely carbon neutral fleet. We've already started, like you rightly mentioned, with the EQ series, which is kind of representing that ambition, starting with electric. This company spoke about having an electric equivalent to every combustion that we produced, went on to say we want to be electric first, and most recently went on to bravely declare that we want to be an electric only company. I think sustainability is at the core of the business today at Mercedes-Benz. If it's electric mobility that customers know, if it's simply meaning permanently creating value for all our stakeholder groups, if it's customers, employees, investors, all our business partners and society as a whole, people who drive our cars, people who are connected with our business. I think economics, environment, social responsibility, all of that go hand in hand today. I'd love to discuss more during the next part of this panel.
Thank you, Manu. And is that an EQE I see in the background you've got on your wallpaper?
No, it's not an EQE, it's an EQS actually.
Thank you. Indeed. All right, so moving from one iconic mobility player to another, Kuti, if I could come to you next. I mean, Tata Motors, of course, is one of the early movers, particularly in the EV space, for passenger vehicles in India. I mean, certainly I've spotted a number of Tata Nexons, with its signature electric blue signage, on the road several times. And of course, I know you're kind of adding many more, and you're growing the battery electric portfolio in particular, with other models as well in the country. So can you share particularly how your experience has been in India in kind of leading this effort and how you see that playing out over the next few years?
Yes, yes, Nakul. And, I really want to say that what Manu just spoke about is really very inspiring. For us, Mercedes-Benz and Daimler actually are marquee models. And we always respect this company for everything that they do. I also want to say that on the one end of the spectrum, you have, luxury brands like Mercedes and, the top end brands. But India is actually a mass market. And a mass market normally deals with different sets of problems, which are quite unique to our ecosystem. So the Tata Nexon that you referred to is actually bringing mobility to the masses. And to electrify mobility solutions for the masses is a big way forward, because unless you really sort out the mass market questions, you really don't solve everything for the country. So where are the areas that Tata Motors plays? Tata Motors plays in the commercial vehicle segment, and of course the passenger car segment. And like all of us know that large amount of emissions from an automotive manufacturer essentially is coming from the tailpipe. So when you normally deal with the typical scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3 emissions, all of us know that the real diesel guzzlers are the guys who really create a lot of pollution for the planet. And these are normally hard to abate sectors. It's not easy to deal with moving away from diesel to another alternative fuel, which is carbon neutral or green to that extent. So unless we talk in terms of battery technologies for certain range of vehicles, and of course the fuel cell and newer hydrogen-based technologies for the bigger range vehicles, we're not solving the problem for the country. And we recognize that bulk of the emissions today, which comes from the scope 3 emissions, for Tata Motors comes from the big guys, the big heavies and the medium commercial vehicles. And while we are working at both ends of the spectrum, we do something in the area of passenger cars. There's a lot to be done in the area of commercial vehicles. But that said, there is another aspect which is really related to what are we doing with our supply chains? What are we doing with our plants? How are we gravitating towards a better environment for all of us and for the future generations is something that I'll deal with as we speak. So over to you, Nakul.
And Uwe, if I can come to you next. For the benefit of our audience, AVL is the world's largest independent company for development, simulation, and testing in the automotive industry. And of course, you're a leader in providing solutions that are shaping future mobility trends across a range of technologies. So can you talk to us a little bit about how AVL is supporting the transition to lower CO2 mobility, and particularly what lessons perhaps India can learn, in the technology choices that we make, given our need for more energy and the affordability concern?
Yeah, Michael, thanks a lot for the introduction. In fact, AVL is dealing with energy conversion and efficiency, and that in the entire range from a two-wheeler up to heavy duty, but also marine and railroad. And we are also dealing with energy conversion in stationary applications. So therefore, the net zero thought on the greenhouse gas, that is in the core of our DNA. And we do that for the propulsion systems. Battery electric is a huge play in that, where we have a possibility to tap directly into green electrons. So the renewable energy, and I like to describe it as the green electrons, they will be core and center to what we do. But I think it is very important to look at that from when we talk mobility from a holistic view, because having the green electrons, it also means we have to deal with intermittency. And that is why we do a lot on conversion on electrolyzers into hydrogen. We believe that molecules are a basic, play a basic role in making sustainable energy systems happen. And that leads us into hydrogen, but potentially also adding carbon and having e-fuels. So from a perspective of mobility, for sure, there is a big role on electrification. And when we look at our activities in India, especially, I think two-wheelers, three-wheelers, concepts on how to do battery recharging. That is stuff that we are doing on the AVL side, but it's also where we have to think of how we deal with the whole electrolyzer business. How do we use hydrogen? And when we have hydrogen, well, you can burn it in a combustion engine, and it is from a technology perspective something that not only is net zero on a greenhouse gas, also the toxic emissions can be dealt with. And of course, you can have a fuel cell. So that is the area where we are active, and I'm looking forward to the panel discussion to shed some light on activities what we do. We actually are no producers, so the OEM are our customer, and the tier one industry, as well as the energy sector, and that is where we provide engineering activities. So I'm very proud to be on that panel with customers and with people who bring the mobility to the end consumer.
Thank you. And indeed, you're right. I mean, India will go on its own pathway, where perhaps two-wheelers and three-wheelers will play a much more prominent role, perhaps, than elsewhere. Sindhu, if I could come to you next. How is SAP India really viewing the decarbonization challenge, and what are some of the initiatives that you are undertaking, and where do you see the opportunities unfolding in this space?
Sure. First of all, it's great to be on this panel and just listen into some of the great initiatives that the others are taking. And Nakul, at SAP, if you just reflect back, we totally believe that most of our ability to create a more climate positive future actually lies in our ability to support our 500,000 customers that we have worldwide, to help them reduce their carbon footprint and greenhouse gas emissions through our very diverse product portfolio. If I just remember what the earlier panelists said, Mr. Kuti said, and Mr. Uwe said, everybody was talking about supply chains and how do you effectively manage those supply chains, right? Now, if I put that into perspective, 85% of the largest carbon emission intensive companies use SAP, right? They use SAP to manage their end-to-end business processes, which gives us a very incredible opportunity to actually contribute to this global climate change movement in a very impactful way. And we're totally banking on digitization to help save huge amounts of carbon emissions in major industries, right? Be it mobility, be it utilities, be it agriculture, be it logistics. And we're also helping companies out there track their carbon emissions all the way from their upstream supply chains to downstream logistics, including the whole procurement, the operations, the manufacturing, using solutions and solutions like we recently launched the SAP Product Footprint Management, right? And these are ways, these are technologies which really help you to put those sustainability metrics right into the core of your business processes. Because today, this topic is increasingly relevant for business success, just like any other parameters, be it cost, financial growth, etc. Right? And if you ask me, we are adding sustainability as a new dimension of success into our analytical as well as our transactional applications, Nakul, so that we give a means for every organization out there across industries by adding what we call as a green line, right, to the already existing top and bottom line. And this is in line with our vision, right, which is all about helping the world run better. We want to help our customers to reinvent how they track their sustainability goals. And we also believe that with our very strong cloud strategy, this is also going to be kind of a scaling factor in terms of how we can achieve this. And we're very committed to also helping our customers to become sustainable, intelligent enterprises. Now, and you asked your question about what are we doing in SAP in India, right? And we're also an organization which who leads by example. Like if I reflect back in the India context, it's great that we have a family of 14,000 plus strong SAPians here in India, and it's our second largest R&D hub outside our headquarters in Germany. So it's absolutely imperative for us to be conscious of also how we are running and how are we operating on the ground. Nakul, for instance, 95% of the energy which is consumed on our labs campus here in India, in our Bangalore campus, is derived from various green energy sources, right? Or we're also proud of the fact that 70% of our transport operations for our, so we have close to 11,000 of the 14,000 here in Bangalore, is run using electric vehicles. And we have in-house EV charging stations on our campus. And it's also a great point to mention that our campuses are also free of single-use plastic, which, as you know, is the largest contributor to the waste which is being dumped into our oceans. So all in all, as a very responsible organization, we use the approach of, first of all, avoiding, second, reducing, and third, I'd say compensating as well for our emissions. And we are also going to be carbon neutral in our entire operations globally by 2023, and we are absolutely on track to reaching those goals, Nakul.
Thank you, Sindhu. Indeed, very impressive. Emma, can I come to you now and actually, talk about two things. One is, of course, our recent powering progress strategy that we've rolled out in Shell, which really has decarbonization and sustainability at its heart. And nowhere is it more relevant, of course, than the downstream business, which touches, most customers that we serve. So can you share a little bit about what Shell is doing really in its path towards net zero emissions by 2050? But then also, secondly, after that, also talk about how startups can be relevant, in this space and what role they can play, perhaps.
Sure. So let me just start by saying the energy transition, it's complex, it's ambiguous, it's fast. It's nice to be part of this panel because I think what's clear is companies are going to have to work together in order to make progress. I think we've got strategic partnerships with a couple other companies on this call, and those are really important things to help us tackle this together. So maybe a couple of things. I think, we tend to talk about energy transition, and we talk a lot about electricity and power. And things are relatively well progressed in terms of green electricity. Wind, solar have been around for a while. I think one of the other panelists, Kuti, mentioned hard to abate sectors earlier on. And that's really where we haven't made as much progress as companies. I'd say whether you look at transport and mobility, you look at industry, you look at buildings, that they're not as advanced as we are maybe in the power sector. So if I look at how Shell's new power and progress strategy, and maybe talk about one of the things we did as a result of that, is we've organized ourselves from a sectoral perspective. And what I mean by that is we've set up sectors such as aviation, mining, agriculture, marine, we've got our mobility division. And what we're trying to do is structure ourselves in a way that says, how do we partner with those sectors and those industries to drive decarbonization? So I think, if we think about what needs to be accelerated, what needs to be stepped up, I think it's really the development of those hard to abate sectors. I think if I think specifically about India, some of the challenges are the same challenges that many of the advanced Western countries face. It's a similar technologies that will need to be deployed. But I think there is a uniqueness where India is also growing at the same time as it's decarbonizing. And that means you have an opportunity to build new infrastructure right and sustainably from the start. I think that still needs market forces and demand. It still needs regulations. It still needs industries to partner together. But I think that does make a unique opportunity. I'll touch on why private sector startup partnerships are so important. I think big corporations sometimes struggle to experiment. We don't necessarily have the structure that allows experimentation and innovation. And that's something that startups do, and they do incredibly well. So I think we're in this sort of situation where we need to experiment and innovate. Corporations can struggle to do that, but they have the cash and the funding. The startups have the capability to do the innovation and the experimentation, but they don't necessarily have the cash. And I think that's why, we have a Shell Ventures organization, for example, that purely exists to do these kind of experimentation and these kind of partnerships. And I think that's critical if we're going to quickly innovate in some of these hard to abate sectors.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Emma. If I can then, continue that dialogue, with the others, Kuti and Manu, perhaps coming to you next. Both of you, in your comments, spoke about, how the energy transition is really going to take an entire kind of ecosystem, in a sense, to get it right. It's not just about having a great product in itself. There's a supply chain, there are customers. Even in EVs, for example, we're talking about charging. In other low carbon fuels, we're talking about fuel infrastructure and so on. So where do you see kind of startups particularly having a role to support this ecosystem to accelerate the energy transition and really kind of make the most impact, in a sense? And where is it that perhaps you were already involved with some of them? If you could share that. Manu, perhaps if I could start with you first.
Yeah, sure. I think whatever Emma said on the money, actually, with people, with nimble-footed companies around us right now, needing the support, if I may say, even needing the problem statements in some ways to solve, based on tech. Startup Autobahn is actually the Daimler equivalent of what you just mentioned about Shell. I know Sindhu's running a successful one herself for SAP. So we all have been offering our platforms. Startup Autobahn from 2016 around the world, from 2018 here in India, actually, run at MBRDI. It's giving young entrepreneurs the opportunity to get together with research and development experts within the company and to present innovation. So we've been bringing global problem statements related to mobility. Mobility in general so far, but what's also interesting is this year we rebranded our Startup Autobahn initiative with the tagline, the next green thing. So as we speak, Startup Autobahn at Stuttgart and in Bangalore, I'm right now in my third sprint, looking for startups with ideas that will help us focus on sustainable solutions, simply to reduce the carbon footprint, the ecological footprint that's part of the business right now. Now, if it's designed for environment on the products, if it's mechanical engineers who have to look at materials starting from plastics, seed, metals that we are using, the production processes, the complete industrialization around the world for us. Simply the role of digital that can play a role in product development. All of this is part of right now what we call the next green thing. So we've had a very nice run with the startups globally with Startup Autobahn, and I'm hoping that the next green thing actually brings us even more closer to some of the digital solutions that India can present for some of our very, very big global problem statements. Now, that they are important partners as entrepreneurs is one thing. The next big thing that we are looking at is also intrapreneurship of sorts, people with ideas from within the company who want to go out and help not just us, but a larger part of the world. So we're also kind of getting inspired by others who are faster on that track, supporting their own employees with ideas within the ecosystem. So the next big thing as part of the Startup Autobahn is when some of my colleagues and employees actually go out and kind of take their next big solution to the world in the space of mobility, but specifically in the space of sustainability. And this is what MBRDI is doing right now.
It sounds very exciting, Manu, and I'm sure our audience would love to know more actually about this as well. Kuti, can I come to you next? Same question. Can you share a little bit more about how Tata Motors is working with the startup?
Yeah, Nakul, actually 3 areas of interest in sustainability. One related to net zero and our ambitions around that. I told you it's all about products and the scope 1, scope 2, scope 3s. Then there is an element of circularity and managing more responsible use of virgin materials. And then you have this nature biodiversity agenda. What I'm finding is in the area of net zero, our connections with the startups is quite limited. For various reasons, it's normally an OEM tier 1 play. And we have been dealing more to do with OEMs and tier 1s and tier 2s rather than with startups. And I must admit, there's lots to do. And this new journey that we are embarking on, we can actually pull in a lot more than what we had done in the past. But it's an admission that we have not done as much as we could possibly do in that area. But having said that, I would like to say in the area of circularity, we're doing a lot of work in that area, especially may not be startups, but with smaller companies and companies who are prepared to think outside their box. So we have tried various things like, how can we use banana fiber in some of our, in the area that we can work? How can we replace plastics completely? In a sense, so we have something called recycled plastics. So we say that we try to use that, but we've gone beyond that. So we take these bumpers of old accident vehicles, then convert it to granules, and then reuse it. So we're completely avoiding use of the virgin materials which are there. So in these areas with material circularity, there is a lot that we are doing in the area of with startups. But circularity is not only about material circularity; it's also about product as a service, but also component as a service. And especially in the commercial vehicle area, we have tied up with some companies where we are using, product as a service. So we're trying to create an equivalent of a shared mobility service for commercial vehicles, and we have some connections there. So a lot can be done in these areas. Admittedly, we've been doing less than what most OEMs probably should be able to do. But we are hopeful that, especially in the areas of biodiversity and also in the area of circularity, I think we could do much more. But getting digital technology and connected vehicles, and probably even as we get into autonomous vehicles in the future, that would be an area where software and digital relationships can play a huge role, especially when you have payment gateways and connections in that space. But lots to be done in that area for us.
Indeed.
Nakul.
Uwe, if I can bring you in on this conversation as well. We
Sure.
have a lot of entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs in the audience watching. If you had to kind of advise them in terms of which are the areas which look most promising for startups to really make an impact as this energy transition unfolds, where would you point them towards?
Well, actually, I think the areas where we currently need to look at it, and it was mentioned already in the panel, it's about net zero on carbon emissions. It's about circular economy, and I believe that is currently a growing area where a lot of impact can be made. The whole concept of startup is something extremely important. Actually, AVL started as a startup in 1947, when nobody talked about startup. It was actually a spin-off from Graz University here in Austria. And what is so important when we look at these areas is startups are typically interdisciplinary teams. And what is close to my understanding, I'm an honorary professor at the University of Graz and University of Vienna, and it is so important to have fresh minds. One thing that I find is the more you know about a topic, the more you get into the pathway that is determined by the peer group. And I mean, having the knowledge, having gone through an education and looking with fresh eyes, that opens that. So I always have a lot of inspiration when I give my lecture and I ask, oh, so what are your thoughts? And somebody asks me a question on why is that described in that way? And all of a sudden you start thinking and say, oh yes, that is a good point. That is because we in our peer group are kind of agreeing on something. Yeah, and that is the power of fresh thinking, no fear on failing. Actually, a culture of failing is good. Let's do it fast, once, learn and do it different. That is the agility that we evolved into a 2 billion euro turnover company, and all of a sudden there is barriers to the way how you approach it. And this is so important. We have what we call Creators Expedition. That is our support for startups. It is important for us that there is a linkage, a close linkage, but an independence, because as soon as you bring something in, you lose this freedom. But coming back to your question, I think it is the sustainability. It is thinking in a way of combining subjects. We, for instance, are working on electrolyzers. When you combine it with processes like a Fischer-Tropsch or methanization, all of a sudden you have synergies. Yeah, to use the waste energy in another way, and all of a sudden you get to a next level of efficiency in that. That is one example of what we do, but also on ways of controlling the entire mobility system. I mean, we talked about in this panel already about autonomous driving, but when you think about the ecosystem of mobility, there's the other side of connectivity to the infrastructure. Can we do things in a different way that we get to a next level of efficiency? And I think that would be my advice to startups, to search for these currently not common topics, because if you are disruptive in that area, there is a possibility to find new ways and to make a big impact.
Thank you. And Sindhu, finally coming to you. I mean, speaking of companies which started as a startup, as Uwe was describing AVL, I think that's also true for SAP, isn't it? Maybe back in, what is it, 1972, perhaps. But of course, you lead SAP labs in India and work very closely with the startup ecosystem. So what can you share about how startups are really working in various areas to accelerate the energy transition?
Yeah, Nakul, I think a lot was said about this mindset that we're all kind of want to tap into, right? Uwe said that, Manu said that, Mr. Kuti said that as well. So similarly in those lines, yeah, absolutely. Given that we also started as a startup at SAP, we still keep that culture and mindset. But definitely also programs and initiatives support that. Like, for example, the Sustainable Future is an equity-free program that at SAP that seeks to propel the whole digital transformation and the startup innovation. And we're looking at 4 main areas. We're looking at carbon tracking and trading. We're looking at resource efficiency. We're looking at climate risk tracking and mitigation, and also circular economy, right? And the whole idea with this Sustainable Future program clearly is to help early B2B startups get up and running quickly, and to look at these sustainability challenges and opportunities to create that very positive impact on both the industry as well as on the society. Now, if I come to the India context, like you asked, I think overall, right, and Manu also referred to that earlier on, we are seeing this new bandwagon of young eco-entrepreneurs, right? And they're taking the story forward, looking at innovative business models. They're also introducing new thought processes, given the kind of mindset that they come with, and also looking at how they can bring in new systems, new environmental products, new environmental services as well. And they have this mindset that they don't have the time to just wait for businesses to act more responsibly and sustainably, but they're taking it on themselves to actively start contributing, building those solutions. And at Labs, yes, very similar to startup Autobahn that Manu talked about. We have what we call as a startup studio, and we've empowered 51 early and growth stage startups through this program, through this accelerator program. We also have entrepreneur activities, which is also super important. Invent, SAP.io are few of those initiatives, which is really about identifying those budding startups within the organization and really also help them go to market. I want to call out one startup that I'm personally involved in, Everloop, right? It's one of the startups where we are actually funding them, and what they're all about is about empowering businesses to achieve zero waste by building a sustainability solution that is connecting all stakeholders across the waste value chain, right? And it's all about making sure that you build that transparency, you build that traceability into the waste value chain. And in a very short time, they've made phenomenal progress, right? And all in all, coming to the India context, we're seeing that India is also gradually becoming this hub of eco-entrepreneurs, very passionate about the cause, best practices as well when it comes to steering the world towards responsible living and responsible business. And I think a lot that has worked also in their favor, Nakul, is the fact that the Indian government is all large bets, right, on micro, small, medium enterprises to be one of the biggest drivers to achieve India's SDGs. So all in all, I think the climate is good. Accelerator programs are in place. Young eco-entrepreneurs kind of taking the lead and driving the changes, is supporting the cause globally, but also most importantly here in India.
Thank you, Sindhu. And actually, that's a very positive note, really, to draw the discussion to a close today. We could keep talking about this topic actually for hours, but that's as much time as we have today. So thank you, everyone, for taking out your time. This was a very engaging discussion. I certainly learned a lot. There's, of course, a lot to do in the energy space as the transition unfolds. And I'm sure our audience also would have taken away some interesting ideas and, well, who knows, maybe even a spark of inspiration. To the audience, thank you for spending your time with us and joining us today. I hope you found the discussion useful. Thank you, everyone.
I'm Dr. Suruchi Rao, co-founder and CEO of Osis Bio. We're a Bangalore-based bioenergy company, and we're helping process industries decarbonize by supplying them with biohydrogen produced from their own wastewater. The last couple of years have been tough for any entrepreneur, but what keeps me and my team going is the urgency we feel to help the world transition away from fossil fuel use. We need to heal the world for our future generations, and actions need to be taken today for a better world.
Prior to EmbedSense, I have worked in many high-tech companies like Accenture, Intel, Motorola, etc., where I have had roles that push the envelope of technological excellence. Being able to take on the most grueling challenges that one were to come across in development of the deep tech products, and then getting to experience customers using these products and deriving value out of it is what motivates me the most. It's gratifying to see all our efforts take fruition, and it instills pride in what we do at EmbedSense. My suggestion to fellow women who wish to excel in their career is to first believe in yourself, go all out. Persevere, prioritize, delegate to achieve your goals, and never give up.
We will now hear from 4 of the Shell E4 alumni startups who will share their entrepreneurial journey with all of us. And they will be introduced by my Shell colleagues.
Please welcome Strategy and Business Development Lead of India Growth Projects, Chaitna Sharma.
Hello everyone. I'm Chaitna, and I'm here to introduce a very promising startup in the EV ecosystem, Zip Electric. Last mile delivery is the most desired state to have from a logistical perspective. However, using vehicles with internal combustion engines leaves a significant carbon footprint and reduces savings for the delivery personnel. By bringing IoT solutions to ensure last mile connectivity, Zip Electric has made the last mile same-day delivery a cheaper and a cleaner proposition for many customers. This solution aligns well with Shell goals of net zero emissions, reduced carbon footprint, and enhanced mobility. Zip Electric is a logistics EV tech provider and has a fleet of over 1,500 electric vehicles and has been chosen as the Startup of the Year by ISGF. Let's hear about Zip Electric to shed more light on the big idea and its impact.
From Gurgaon, India, Zip Electric.
3 quick facts. Last mile delivery contributes to more than 50% cost in the entire logistics value chain. It contributes almost 27,000 kilos of carbon, one bike in 1 year. And driver is actually earning very less because of the rising fuel cost. Hi, I'm Akash Gupta. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Zip Electric, which is India's largest last mile delivery EV company. And we are operating since 2017. First off, about the team. We're a team of startup enthusiasts. Almost everyone has worked more than for 14 years as top leads in various large companies like Ola, Grofers, Snapdeal, and many others. We are a team of IITians out from MDI, IMT, and also good advisors on board. What we are attacking is one of a large market size of $123 billion market, right? Which is of the same day last mile delivery going electric by 2025. What's our vision? We are basically a platform which is enabling largest fleet of sustainable and economical logistics for multiple businesses. So far, we are live in 10 cities. We are live with 1,500 EVs, and we are clocking a revenue of $1.5 million ARR. And in this process, we are saving tons and tons of carbon. Also, the good part of our business is that we have all our vehicles not sitting on our books. So we are asset light. We have got HNIs, banks, NBFCs, and such institutions who are basically leasing these EVs to us. And that's set to scale. The customers that we are working with are some of the large names in the industry. We work with Amazon, Flipkart, Big Basket, Grofers, large retail stores like Spencer's, Easyday, and many hyperlocal Kirana stores also, where we are enabling and making their deliveries sustainable. The good part is our cross-utilization feature through tech, where what we are trying to do is to how to utilize the fleet to deliver milk in the morning, food in the afternoon and night, and also e-commerce deliveries whenever the peak traffic can be utilized towards the maximized asset utilization. Also, in this process, we are generating already a positive contribution margin. We are operationally profitable, and the aim is to generate about 27% EBITDA margin after reducing all our costs over the next 12 months. All our vehicles are IoT enabled, all our customers' data sits with us, all our delivery executives' data sits with us. This helps us in optimize better deliveries and utilize the vehicles better and move towards a future of autonomous and drone deliveries using this data. Also, we are creating a huge impact in the life of 2,000 plus delivery executives who come from small towns, earn via Zip, and they earn more because of EVs. Also, we have got partners like Google, Shell, IN Fund, 9 Unicorns, Entel Ventures who already joined our journey for about $3 million funded so far. Shell definitely is a great brand who's helping us establish, go deeper into the market. They help us connect with the industry. They help us connect with investors. And together with them, we are trying to create the EV ecosystem. Right? What we are raising now is we are raising a $7 million Series A, out of which almost 80% is committed. This would help us grow from 1,500 EVs to 10,000 EVs, expand into 25 cities, and become the largest last mile delivery EV company, which is our goal, in the next 18 to 24 months. Already we've seen a few global unicorns, and we wish to be the first Indian unicorn in the EV logistics space. And that goal we would like to achieve by 2025 before we go for our IPO in 2027. So we are happy, we are excited, and we would love to speak to you about Zip.
Please welcome Head of Business Development, Energy and Carbon Management, Neeraj Bhatia.
IGreen Energy has revolutionized the battery management system with its dynamic balancing technology, the world's most advanced cell balancing solution that delivers superior battery performance per unit costs. It is in the business of building innovative solutions to optimize energy storage, generation, management, and intelligent grid interactions, which align with being ready for the future of the energy space. Their programmable digital battery platform, bundled with the latest software innovations, adds intelligence and performance improvements to continuously rejuvenate the battery and electric vehicle. Since 2014, the company's had marquee customers in the US, Europe, Japan, and India. With intelligent innovations, iGreen is well positioned to capitalize on the expected e-mobility boom in India and across the world. Let's hear more from the founder of iGreen Energy himself.
From Mumbai, India, IGreen Energy.
More kilometers per rupee, fear of running out of battery charge in the middle of a ride. How long can a fleet of electric vehicles remain out of service because of long charging times? How many batteries will a fleet operator need to replace next month and the following month, and so on? These are the questions that are holding back mass adoption of electric mobility. Hi, my name is Jiten Apte, and my company, IGreen Energy, is bringing to market an innovation-packed digital battery solution that addresses these pain points and more. Our initial focus is on micro-electric mobility vehicles, which means vehicles as small as autonomous food delivery robots through electric two-wheelers and three-wheelers and small electric four-wheelers. But why now? After all, the first electric vehicles were introduced in the early 1900s. Well, the opportunity is now, because only recently has the electric vehicle revolution finally begun its journey from early adopters to the mass market. The SAM, TAM, SOM of our technology are $230 billion, $50 billion, and $8 billion respectively. And in fact, micro e-mobility is growing faster than the space of larger electric vehicles. Our digital battery solution promises to accelerate this new trend. Our solution is being received enthusiastically by the markets in India and in the US, where we are currently focused. A $16 billion Japanese battery manufacturing company making batteries for the Indian two-wheeler and three-wheeler markets, has selected our digital battery platform for their packs. We have just received a $130,000 order from them. A US-based electric drivetrain major is designing a small electric four-wheeler for India, and our product is part of their initiative. One of the top 3 electric two-wheeler OEMs in India is in discussions with us for inclusion of our technology in their entire range of vehicles. And finally, in the US, we have signed a pilot with an electric mobility services company that operates a fleet of 200 electric golf carts. Currently, we are raising a pre-Series A bridge round of $500,000 to enable us to take these and other early customer inquiries to large purchase orders. After that, we'll be raising a larger Series A round. All of this would have been a lot harder without the support of Shell E4. One of the mentors they introduced us to has been instrumental in helping bring our product to our top 3 electric two-wheeler customer. The insights we received about storytelling during the cohort have helped us tremendously in the preparation of our collateral. And finally, the Shell E4 brand is always helpful in our discussions with investors and customers. So thank you, E4, for all the support.
Please welcome Manager of Decision Science Group, Saptarishi Das.
Climate change has made it even more urgent to transition to cleaner fuels from carbon-based fossil fuels. Hydrogen is one such alternative, considering its ability to power fuel cells in net zero emission electric vehicle and its other potential application given scope for high efficiency. Osis Bio has impacted the hydrogen market as it is producing hydrogen by using industrial effluents as feedstock. The Osis Bio Hydra cell is a revolutionary device using biocatalyst that has a minuscule carbon footprint and power requirement. What's remarkable is that the hydrogen generated through this can replace fossil fuels at the site. This idea has a great potential to transform the energy space and reach the net zero goal. The Season team has won many awards, including the CII Startuppreneur Award, Young Scientist Award 2020. This is not only highlights the brilliance of their idea, but the fact that they have a successful pilot running at Shell Technology Center, Bangalore, sheds light on the scalability of the idea. Let's welcome Osis Bio to shed some more light on their big idea and how it can transform the energy landscape.
From Bengaluru, India, Osis Bio.
Hello, I'm Dr. Suruchi Rao, co-founder and CEO of Osis Bio Renewables. We're a Bangalore-based bioenergy company, and we're helping process industries transition out of using fossil fuels. We do this by supplying them with on-demand hydrogen gas as a fossil fuel replacement for heat or power. Why do industries need to decarbonize? The effects of climate change are no longer theoretical. We're living with them today. Using a high-density, carbon-free source of energy in the form of hydrogen should already be a reality, but this is not so. Why? Primarily because hydrogen gas is more expensive to move than it is to produce. In fact, at the current price, the cost of transporting green hydrogen is 200% the cost of production. At Osis, we're disrupting this value chain by producing green hydrogen gas directly at heavy industry plants by tapping into a waste resource they already have on site, effluents or wastewater. We now have clients across the steel sector, oil and gas sector, and even FMCG chemicals who are able to source hydrogen gas directly and on demand via our proprietary bioreactor, the OB Hydrocell. This IoT-based intelligent bioreactor utilizes designer microbes to produce hydrogen gas in a proprietary process. This process additionally returns treated water, which adds to the sustainability of their existing water value chain. Our revenue model makes it convenient for industry partners to adopt and scale the process, starting with as low as 10 kilograms of hydrogen per day, which roughly translates to 440 kilowatt hour of power. With only a one-time development fee, we offer each further round of scale-up in the form of a service fee for every kilogram of hydrogen we produce and for every 1,000 liters of water that we recycle. This revenue model, in conjunction with our retrofittable device, has allowed us to rise above the competition, which typically only performs one half of our process. They either treat wastewater or produce hydrogen gas, whereas we do both. Our growth is thanks to the team that we have built, which includes experienced professionals and young entrepreneurs with a strong background in design, biology, and business development. We started our journey as part of the first cohort of the Shell E4 program back in 2018. The E4 program connected us to our end users, ONG operators, who helped identify the shortfall in our deployment strategy. Via the E4 program, we were able to deploy our first pilot, a 14,000 liter a day unit, the very first version of the OB hydrocell aimed at producing hydrogen gas from petrochemical effluents. The traction we received from being cohort members also validated our technology and helped reach out to customers and investors alike. My own story as part of a founder of Osis started when I didn't get an opportunity to work on hydrogen gas after I finished my PhD. Since then, the team that we have built is thanks to my CTO, who joined my company as someone who is helping us to transition out of the typical way bioreactors are run. And of course, a third co-founder that we have is my mom, who helped me start the company. We have since grown into a team of nearly 10 people, and we are here to help the world transition away from the use of fossil fuels via the use of effluents. Thank you.
Please welcome Venture Scout of E-Mobility, Chetan Dhawan.
Hi, I'm Chetan Dhawan, and I'm part of the global electric mobility business at Shell. It is our endeavor to electrify goods and people mobility, not just in India, but globally. Today, I'm excited to introduce to you a startup that's focused on improving goods mobility, Logistics Now. Logistics Now is building the digital backbone to help transporters and manufacturers make a solid technology-enabled logistics business. They aim to eliminate global problems like non-uniform food distribution, where food worth billions of dollars is wasted, while millions go hungry. The founders and advisors have developed a product that uses the power of data science to organize and optimize operations while maximizing revenues for all stakeholders involved in the value chain. Their platform can be scaled globally through multimodal integration, freight benchmarking, and other such digital processes that enhance operations. They have initially focused on emerging markets like India, where obstacles like lack of transparency, poor utilization, and payment issues mar the market. Let us now hear more from the founder himself.
From Mumbai, India, Logistics Now.
Hi, my name is Raj Saxena. I'm the founder and chief executive at Logistics Now, a software SaaS platform company building a TripAdvisor for B2B logistics, for surface logistics, to help organize this fragmented $4 trillion industry globally and solving for its key pain points: high cost, low reliability, and unhappy users. Our team has enabled $130 million of freight optimization so far, saving over $6 million for customers. The data size on our platform has crossed $1.5 billion and spans over 40,000 routes, on which over 80 different truck types are operated by 800 transporters who have signed up so far. Our vision is to create the integrated digital logistics platform, the national logistics grid, for India and for every major country globally. We are different. We are a deep data platform where logistics intelligence, discovery, and transactions are enabled through a trusted ecosystem and a ratings engine, pretty much like TripAdvisor. As freight benchmarks and intelligence are embedded into this platform, we can guarantee savings and are moving in the direction of predictive freight. We also enable sustainability, eventually at scale, by synergizing networks, minimizing empty haulage, and maximizing utilization by enabling backhauls, multi-hops, and better planning. Today, we are a revenue positive company with significant global inbound interest and a pipeline of over 50 warm customers, prospects. We are raising our next round to scale the product, sales, and marketing. And today, we stand as a strong team, diverse and driven, coming from tech and supply chain backgrounds, with an amazing advisory board, which has transformed supply chains and businesses in India and worldwide. In our journey, Shell has been of tremendous help, helping us learn and connect with the startup ecosystem and enabling us to get selected for the Microsoft for Startups program, which was critical to moving our platform to the cloud and enabling global scalability. Shell is also helping us connect with investors as we move forward with the current fundraise. Thank you.
We have heard from some of the brightest minds today on how they are enabling energy transition. The future of energy lies in sustainable solutions emerging from the synergy between governments, industries, scientific research, and digitization. Shell is at the helm of developing and investing in new technologies that contribute to a cleaner energy future. Be sure to tune in again tomorrow for another exciting day of E4 Demo Day, Energy Entrepreneurs, E4 for Life. As a final reminder, if you are an investor or want to follow up about any potential commercial opportunities with the E4 startups, please click on the Contact Startup button, which could be found under unique startup profiles. Thank you to our partners and mentors who made this program an experience incredibly wonderful for the startups. Thank you all for joining us today and see you tomorrow. Stay safe.